Hi there, my name is Marlene Stevenson Daly. Welcome to another episode of Jamaica's Tourism Titans. It is such a pleasure to have as my special guest today a gentleman who has been in the tourism industry, an area that is not often in the forefront, not often in the limelight, but he has been serving in this very important and very vital sector for many, many years. And before him, his dad. We're going to learn a little bit more about him and about his contribution. He is presently the chairman of the shopping network of the Tourism Enhancement Fund's Tourism Linkages Network. And he is also a former board member of my organization, the Tourism Product Development Company Limited, and many other things. Anup Chandiram, how you do? Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here and looking forward to sharing some information to help bring more people into the industry because sometimes it's misunderstood.
Yes. All right. I want for you, even before we get into talking about the shopping network and Anup himself, before you was Polka.
Correct.
Yes.
My dad.
That's your dad. And for persons, for example, from the Montego Bay area of Jamaica, will know him for Bijoux.
Correct.
Which is right across from the number 1 post office, just beyond what we call the city centre, which was a shopping hub for things in Bond in Montego Bay. And of course, you evolved on the other side of town, which is Kingston. So tell us a little bit, where were you born? And I want to talk a little bit about your dad before we talk about Anup.
Okay, well, I was born in 1961 here in Kingston, St. Joseph's Hospital. And before me, my dad was also born here in 1945 or something, 54. I'm bad with years. But he also was born here. And so we are third generation.
Mm-hmm. I read an article which referred to him as champion for the invisible and servant for those that society had discarded, a true citizen of the world. Give us a little bit of insight in the man he was and the contribution he made to our society, generally speaking, even though, Bijoux and his business was what paid the bills.
Well, I can tell you his life, his passion was serving the poor, the least among us. He was baptized Roman Catholic right after high school in St. George's College. The Jesuits there had a very strong influence on his life, and he dedicated his life to serving the least among us, as I said. So he started many, many organizations in Jamaica. He chaired many others, all without need for recognition or fanfare. And the list is just too long to imagine. I mean, I have it here, so if you're interested, I can tell you.
Yes, I would like for us to hear of some of those organizations. I think we know of Food for the Poor, but I'm sure there are many others. And his level of philanthropy was really admirable.
Absolutely. So my dad believed in being like Christ. And so his life was a example of what Christ would do if he was on earth today. So some of the organizations my dad was involved with were, of course, Food for the Poor, which you said. He was the first chairman in Jamaica for, I think, 15 years. He was a co-founder of the Golden Age Home, 1986 to 2012. He was involved in the Sisters of Mercy, that is Sister Mary Benedict, and with that helped establish the Law Street Trade Training Center, which still exists today. He welcomed Mother Teresa to Jamaica, who he met personally and who has written him in her own handwriting, and helped secure the building where the Missionaries of Charity currently exist, and they take care of the elderly and the infirmed. He helped establish the Mona Rehabilitation Center with, I believe, Sammy Henriquez. He was the head of the Special Olympics Committee on their trip to Korea. He was president. He's a past president of the Rotary Club, 1975-76, but he was a member from 1968 to 2017. One of the founding members of Brothers of the Poor. That's Father Holong.
Yes.
1978 to 1981. He was a founding member of Mustard Seed. That is Monsignor Gregory Ramkisoon.
Ramkisoon, yes.
Ramkisoon, and that's 1978. Mary's Child, St. George's Old Boys Association, involved with Campion College, involved with the Salvation Army. He was a chairman from 75 to 1982. And he was, other things like he was president of Club India. He was a co-founder and president for like 30 years. But I think his real love was the establishment of the Handicapped Children Pilgrimage Trust, Jamaica chapter. So what that is every year for 32 years, he took handicapped children and their helpers, along with a priest and a doctor/nurse, to Lourdes in France. And they spent a week in France, and that's where the Virgin Mary had apparitions to a young nun, and the Catholics believe it's a place of miracles.
Yes.
And so he did that passionately and consistently, and that is something that I am continuing in his memory.
I was about to ask you if you have gotten any of those Christ-like qualities yourself.
Certainly big shoes to walk in. So I can't walk in those shoes, but I try and do what I can. But especially the pilgrimage to Lourdes. I try and do that every year, except COVID messed us up a bit.
Yes,
but
yes.
we'll begin again hopefully next year.
That's great.
Yeah.
I can just imagine what that means to the beneficiaries, the persons who actually get to experience Lourdes.
Believe it or not, and again, it's hard to believe. My dad told me of 3 miracles that have happened to Jamaican children after visiting Lourdes, and that's the doctors cannot
explain.
Going there, they were sick with, some of them with blood diseases, cancer, leukemia, come back and it's all gone. And I actually heard the testimony from one of the kids who is now a young adult.
Wow.
And it's hard to imagine, but it's true.
Yes. You have to see it to believe it.
Absolutely.
Some people. But then if you believe without seeing, that's another level.
Absolutely.
Yes. Take us back to your days at St. Cecilia Preparatory. You grew up in Kingston, a dad who was very, very involved in community work and doing a business to raise a family, and a business that I'm sure required at the time, and it still does, a lot of acumen and just knowing how to navigate these waters, because duty-free shopping in Jamaica, I'm not sure that Jamaica is as known for its duty-free shopping as, for example, places like in the region like St. Martin and so forth. So it must have been a challenge, difficult for him at the time. But you take me back to the context within which you grew up.
Okay, so my family home was across from Devon House, number 3 Waterloo Road. And it's still there. The same building is still there. So we were an extended family. My dad, my grandfather, my grandmother, my uncles, my aunts, cousins. We all lived in this pretty big compound, which my dad eventually gave to the Salvation Army. So today
that's where the headquarters of the Salvation Army
correct.
is.
It's currently the Salvation Army headquarters and right across from Devon House. Okay. So St. Cecilia Prep was on Surbiton Road. And so that was right kind of behind Waterloo Road. And the principal was a lady called Miss Holness. I am sure she's was related to the current Prime Minister. The Holness is I see a striking resemblance of her in him, and she was a disciplinarian. You could not get away with anything, and the punishments were severe.
Did you get into trouble?
Not often, but when I did, it was. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from her. And we were, at that time, the spelling bee champions for many, many years. It was always Vaz Prep and St. Cecilia Prep. In fact, some of the students that have come out of there have been very, very successful because of the discipline that she gave us. From there, after common entrance at the time, I got into Campion College, which to the delight of my dad, because of course it's a Jesuit institution.
Yes.
And I spent a lot of years there. Also, very, very strict disciplinary. The Jesuits believe in educating the whole person. It's not only just academic; it's the whole person. Yes. Spent 5 years there. Met a lot of lifetime friends there, very bright students who turned out to be, again, very successful in today's Jamaica.
Yes.
And from there, my dad insisted that I apply to the College of the Holy Cross. Again, another Jesuit institution. And, he kind of dragged me there.
Why did you not want to go? You didn't want to leave the comfort of home and all of that?
Well, you really want to. As a 17-year-old, you want to have fun, So, but that was again another place where you went and you studied. The fun was not
not in
the mix, not in the mix. And of course, that felt a little bit too restrictive. But what it is what it is. And I finished my 4 years there, and then after that, decided to do my MBA at McGill University. I think that's where I had the time of my life.
Ah, okay.
A great school in Montreal, Canada. Very cultural, very. Filled with people from Jamaica and Trinidad and from all over the world, actually. All over the world. Yes. It's in Quebec, which was French-speaking primarily.
Did you ever learn to speak French?
No, again, 2 years of intense study, no time to speak French.
Okay. But what would you say from your time at McGill and your time at the College of Holy Cross that would have prepared you for taking up the mantle as far as business is concerned? Because I believe you studied economics as well.
I did economics in my bachelor's, and I did finance and international business in my master's. Both prepared me very well. As you know, the Jamaican economy is up and down.
Yes.
And even today, you have to kind of read the signals of where we are, where we're going, inflation, interest rates, and all of those variables. And so it prepares you to kind of read the future as to what is coming, and that helps in business.
Yes.
Because you know whether to take loans, not to take loans, whether to pay off loans. And all various working capital management, investing, all of that stuff, So.
And of course, in these last 2 years, we have been tested so much for our own resilience.
Absolutely.
In business. All right, we're talking with Anup Chandiram. He's my special guest on our podcast for today. We're going to take a little break, but we'll be right back.
In tourism, the people are the product. Yes, they are one of our industry's most important assets. They help create memorable lifetime experiences. They, through their service, make the difference. We share the stories of their challenges and triumphs, of what makes them tick, of who they really are, just to inspire you to act positively. You too can be an ambassador for tourism and our country and become a Jamaican tourism titan. Start today.
The Tourism Product Development Company Limited, TPDCO, presents Crafting for Christmas on Friday, December 16, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. on the South Lawns of Devon House. Come and get your Christmas gifts, art, craft, souvenirs, and locally made items. Don't miss performances from Agent Sasco, 2022 Festival Song winner Sakaj, Lester Lewis singing Rose, and more. That's Crafting for Christmas, Friday, December 16, Devon House. Rock and come in. Welcome back to Jamaica's Tourism Titans. My special guest is Anup Chandiram, and we've been going back a little bit in time to talk about the work of his dad, the kind of developmental work in communities of the disadvantaged and the poor here in Jamaica, and just learning a little bit about him. And we wanted to delve a little bit in the business of shopping in Jamaica. You are chairman of the shopping network for the Tourism Linkages Committee, and you have been since 2016. And you have been here, so you know the challenges that we've had over the COVID period and the somersaults that businesses have had to do just to stay alive, just to stay afloat. And so demystify for us, what is this whole business of shopping and inbound shopping in Jamaica? Some people don't have a clue. They just think, okay, just go buy watches and rings or whatever. And, it's much more than that.
Okay, I think the notion, well, let me define inbound. Jamaica, we call it inbound. In most other parts of the world, they call it duty-free, or the more known term is travel retail. So travel retail began with the birth of tourism globally. So the concept behind it is, at first started in international airports. So once you pass immigration and you're in the waiting area or the in-transit lounge to board your flight, you are technically not in the country from which you came. You are in a sort of free zone area. So at airports, when you purchase in this area, you don't have any local taxes or local duties. And the theory behind that is, well, I'm capturing the sales and the money from people who have already left the country. They're still here physically,
Yes.
but they're out of the jurisdiction. So that's how it started. And that's supposed to provide savings and an incentive to purchase.
To purchase, yes.
So you catch the person when they're almost boarding the plane. And then you had the duty-free on the plane. If you remember the days, they would sell you liquor, tobacco, certain gifts. I mean, remember the days of Air Jamaica.
Yes.
Yes. They did that and did that well. And that was a great revenue stream. So evolving from that became cruise shipping. So cruise shipping, actually, the ships go from one territory to the next within 24 hours. So on a typical Mediterranean cruise, you could probably see 6 or 7 countries, go to bed in France, wake up in Italy, and go to bed in Italy, wake up in Greece, and so on and so forth. So duty-free shopping took a big jump with the age of cruise shipping.
Cruise shipping, yes.
And on board the ship is actually in international waters. So they're not subject to taxes at all. Okay, so from there, there was a distortion in the market. So people used to go to airports and buy their stuff and then not support the local business. And that was a big drain on potential economy. Or like in Jamaica, sometimes we feel like, let's go to Miami. Let's go shopping in Miami.
Yes.
Miami is an hour and a half away. The plane fare is $200 or $300. It's cheaper for me to fly to Miami, buy the stuff, come back home, and I don't have any local taxes or duties,
yes.
right? So it's really travel retail. That's really what it's all about. Certain countries in the world have taken full advantage, and probably the biggest one is Dubai. A lot of the, Emirates, the
yes,
UAE.
United. Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, London is a big hub, New York's a hub, et cetera, et cetera. So you can buy product in the airports substantially cheaper than you can on the high street.
Right.
In the Caribbean, the people who do it best are St. Martin, St. Thomas, Aruba. You have St. Bart's, which is very high end. Barbados does it well. Cayman does it very, very well. So here we are.
What about Jamaica?
Well,
where are we?
Well,
what are we doing?
That's where the rubber hits the road. So our legislation, unfortunately, was written in 1972 by the then Minister of Finance, David Corr.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in 1972, we did not have cruise shipping. We did not have the internet. We didn't have personal computers. We didn't have mobile phones, and most importantly,
believe it or not, we didn't.
We didn't, and believe it, and most importantly, we didn't have Amazon.com.
Yes.
So our legislation is very, very old, and I have been fighting and struggling to try and get it changed, to bring it up to the modern world of commerce.
Yes.
And that's
a challenge.
That's a big challenge, and I've hit roadblocks everywhere I go.
In the meantime, how do you, as an inbound or duty-free facility, how do you make it work? How do you make it happen? Because you do employ quite a number of persons in the various shops across Jamaica.
Yes.
We have the cruise ports, and we do have some places that people go to for this duty-free shopping right here on island.
Yes.
How do you make it work?
Well, our major customer base is people from North America. Mm-hmm. So I believe the statistic is 85% of our visitors come from the U.S. I think another 8 to 10% comes from Canada, and the rest from everywhere else. I may be wrong with that statistic, but it's in that ballpark.
Yes.
And America is the number one consumer society in the world. So people are used to going to their local shopping center, their strip malls, or today ordering it online and it's delivered to your door. So this is our majority customer. So we have to have product differentiation. We have to be able to offer something that they can't.
That the others.
Yeah, they can't get back home.
Yes.
And so that's what we try to do. We try to come up with unique product at better prices than they can get back home. And our marketing is very important. So we're using every trick in the book,
Yes, every means.
Print, social media, geofencing, all sorts of stuff.
Yes, just to make sure that you can continue to offer this the service. I know you've served as president of the Duty-free Association for some time here in Jamaica, and as the chairman of the shopping network. What do you think? What's your main role? What do you do in that role?
Well, linkages really is about getting value added in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. So what we're trying to do is to keep more of the tourism spend locally so we can have the multiplier effect. Mm-hmm. And it benefits Jamaicans and their families, generates taxes, foreign exchange, etc. So that's our mandate. So as the chairman of the shopping network, I try to get more Jamaican manufactured product to be sold to visitors. And the truth is, our product is differentiated from what, again, they get back home. We're a small country. We produce lots of stuff by hand. We don't have mass manufacturing like they do in the U.S. And so that's my main challenge and goal.
In terms of the different facets of shopping in Jamaica, you know, we have our craft producers, we have the duty-free shopping. Do you think for the future that we will become that formidable force that we perhaps hope for?
Again, I think it has a lot to do with legislation and the will. I think the tourism family really is trying to attract a more high-end visitor with a bigger spend. Mm-hmm. And so without high-end shopping, they won't come here. They will go to other places in the world that they can shop. I mean, let's, take Italy. I think we'll go to Italy, we'll stroll down the main little cobblestone street. And
so bottom line, we're not getting the big spenders in that area of our tourism.
Correct.
So that's perhaps an opportunity there,
Oh, for sure. And it's been recognized by all and sundry. Our chairman is Adam Stewart. Mm-hmm. I'm sure he'd like to raise his room rates. Yes. And I think, and I shouldn't speak for him, but if you check out the average room rate of sandals in Jamaica versus sandals in Turks and Caicos or sandals in Barbados or sandals, it's lower here.
Yes,
it's lower here because although it's still pretty high relative to some of the other hotels, I am sure he would like to bump that up a notch.
Tell me about Main Street, the concept. Perhaps most Jamaicans would know it as Shops at Rose Hall.
Okay.
But you are now very much a part of what's happening there.
Okay.
What's the concept?
So, Shops at Rose Hall, as it was known, was owned by 6 people, including ourselves. So we had 1/6 share. And all credit has to go to the minister because the idea is not mine. The idea is linkages. And I saw the opportunity to follow the path of, our tagline is the best of Jamaica all in one place. Mm. So what I'm trying to do, and I'm still trying, is to provide, some of our Jamaican product is known internationally. Red Stripe Bear, Appleton Rum,
or Devon House ice cream.
Or coffee, or many flora, fauna, art,
or jerk.
Culture, jerk,
or music.
Music. Yes. Oh, how can I forget music? So our goal is to put all of that in one hassle-free area along the Elegant Corridor. So we're almost there. We've got Scotchies, jerk. We just signed a great Jamaican restaurant called Peppa's, which sell everything from oxtail to escovitch fish to stew peas and rice to roast chicken to you name it, bami, stamp and go, you name it.
And I had some Devon House ice cream recently.
Devon House ice cream is there, and National Geographic rated them 4th in the world. That's pretty big.
Yes.
And we just signed a deal with Ray and Nephew to put in an Appleton bar, rum tasting experience, and an Appleton retail store. So that's coming this winter season.
Yes.
And we will then infuse, there is reggae music, but not live yet. We're going to try and get some live reggae music in the place, and other
complementary entities to make sure you get it all in one place.
Absolutely.
Well, for those persons who are listening in who are not Jamaicans and perhaps they wouldn't know exactly what we're talking about the resort town of Montego Bay, and we're talking about the formerly shops at Rose Hall, now Main Street Rose Hall. It's just across from the Montego Bay Convention Center and not hard to find at all. So make sure if you're in that area, you push your nose in, check it out. And before we wrap up, what's your philosophy? Do you have one?
I believe that, we need to be happy. That's the ultimate goal in life, be happy. And so therefore, follow your passion. Do enjoy the journey. Don't always wait for the destination. We're here for a limited time. So
make it count.
Make it count.
Thank you so much. Anup Chandiram has been my special guest inside of Jamaica's Tourism Titans. And when you want to talk about duty-free shopping or travel retail, as it is also referred to, or as we say in Jamaica, in bond, then he's a good person to talk to. We'll catch you next time. Be good. Walk good. Thank you so much for listening to Tourism Titans. We welcome your feedback at letusknow@tpdco.org. Leave us a comment, share, like, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at TPDCOJA. I'm Marlene Stevenson Daly. See you soon.